on this section. And that's after editing my notes down, but we're going to be covering 3 of the 7 principles of happiness in the book.
Wow.
The first principle is the Tetris effect. It's that idea that people who play Tetris enough start to see the game everywhere in their lives, or like once you buy a Prius, you start to see them everywhere. And the more we focus on positivity, the more things we realize there are to be positive about. Shawn Achor also points out that the brain acts like an email spam filter. Scientists estimate that we only remember about 1% of information in the world, and the rest just gets filtered out. Spam filters scan only for what they're programmed to find. So if we've programmed our brain's filter to focus on negatives, the positives just don't exist for us. We see what we look for and we miss the rest. And so if we can only see 1% of the world, we need to be making a conscious decision about what that 1% will be. And when you write down a list of 3 good things that happened to you that day, or you go around the dinner table with your kids saying what you're grateful for, your brain is focused and forced to scan the last 24 hours for potential positives. This trains your brain to become more skilled at noticing and focusing on possibilities for personal and professional growth, and seizing those opportunities to act on them. At the same time, because we can only focus on so much at once, our brains then don't have room for all of the small frustrations of the day. Shawn Achor recommends as a starting point to forget about your current job title and instead ask, what would your customers call your job if they described it based on the impact you have had on their lives? I think everyone here this week to include on your band posts, not just the APV of that application, but also a sentence or 2 of the positive impact that that will have on that family's lives. And then you'll see how there's just less room in your brain for the unimportant complaints. The second principle Achor goes over is called falling up, or capitalizing on the downs to build upward momentum. If we're able to think about failure as an opportunity for growth, we're more likely to experience that growth. And if we think of a problem as the worst thing in the world, it can become just that. In fact, we can only learn to deal with failures by actually experiencing those failures, by living through them, learning how to recognize the warning signs, and learning how to fix it ourselves. What we need to do is shift our thinking from this is really bad and it's never going to get better to it's really not that bad and it will get better. Achor says to, above all else, remember that success is not about never falling down, but it's also not about simply falling down and getting back up over and over. Success is about more than simple resilience. It's about using that downward momentum to propel ourselves in the opposite direction. It's about capitalizing on setbacks and adversity to become even happier, even more motivated, and even more successful. The third principle is the Zorro circle, and this is about limiting your focus to small, manageable goals that help you feel more confident, accomplished, and in control. I guess it's a reference to an old movie with the guy who plays the dad in the Spy Kids movie. But I've never seen Zorro, so I'll take everyone's word for it. But the first goal we need to conquer, or circle we need to draw, is actually self-awareness. When people feel high levels of stress, the quickest people to recover are those who can identify how they are feeling and put those feelings into words, either out loud or in writing. Brain scans show that this almost immediately diminishes the power of negative emotions, improving long-term well-being and enhancing decision-making skills. It moves the challenge from the emotional part of your brain straight into the problem-solving part. Once you've mastered the self-awareness circle, you can widen the circle, and your next goal should be to identify which aspects of that problem you have control over and which you don't. The point is to separate the stresses out that are out of our hands, while at the same time identifying the areas where our efforts will have real impact so that we can focus our energy there. Once you have a list of things that you do have control over, next you pick one small goal from that list to accomplish. By narrowing the scope of action and focusing your energy and your efforts, you're more likely to succeed across the board.
I love it.
4 minutes, 58 seconds.
That's impressive.
It was almost half of the book. And, each page it was something like 1 minute per 30 pages I had, or something like that.
I guess I get to start now on page 151 because I'm done now for that. That's great. I love this book because it talks so much about, positive attitudes, and so many times that we think, talks about if you do well, then you'll be happy, right? If you're successful, you're happy. If you're financially successful, you're happy. And it's actually the reverse of that, right? If you're happy and optimistic, you'll actually be more successful. And I love the way, I remember when I was 16 years old, I was a cook at a restaurant. And I remember my boss, I said, hey, what do I need to do to get a raise here? And he said something about getting new shoes or something like that, because my shoes are kind of worn out, just to have a better appearance, right, as a cook in the restaurant. And I said, well, I'll get the shoes if you give me the raise. And he said, it doesn't work like that, right? He says, you do the work, you impress me, you come in with a great attitude, and I'll give you the raise, right? We all want to get the raise first, right? And then we'll do the work afterwards. I love the way this book talks about that. And it also talks about salespeople that are optimistic and happy and positive outperform negative salespeople by 56%, right? That's a huge number, guys. Right? This business is all right here. We know that, right? I love it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think the couple of things that is focusing on, like that I loved about that first part of the book, is that focusing on like the journey, right, rather than the destination, right? And so focusing on, like, if you're at a 70% contract now, right, or a 90% contract now, right, focusing on that next 5%, right, rather than focusing on 120, right? Or focusing, like for me, trying to get to AO, right, not focusing on AO, but focusing on just developing writers, focusing on the small things, right, that get you to where you need to be, right, rather than the big picture, right, the small bite size, successes that you can have, right, that will propel you to those bigger things will happen if you're focused on all the small things,
Right. Yeah. Focusing on the process, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Great job, Bryan. That was awesome.
Thank you, Reilly.
And yeah, that was great. Well, Bryan's going to be going over some stuff here today that I think is, well, first of all, he's a top producer. He doesn't, top producer, his closing ratio is amazing, guys. And really a lot of it is because of this attitude that he has when he goes to an appointment, that he is going to take an application, right? When he shows up to an application, I remember listening to Ashley Tarr, and she said if she went to an appointment and she didn't take an application for that family, she was surprised, right? That's the attitude that I think Bryan Howell has, and that's what's made him so successful. So Bryan, I'll let you take this over here, but I think this is just, you talked about this at the corporate overview here in Phoenix last week, and it was so good, such great information that I'm going to have you share it with everybody here today.
Yeah, thank you, man. Let's see here. Let me just get this going. There we go. Hold on, I'm going to scroll through here. You see that okay, Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just get to the screen that I want here. So yeah, I want to chat with you about the real system today. Oops, dang it, I stopped it.
That's right. This is,
yeah, if you could see that, that's cool.
that's better.
So I just want to talk to you about the real system today, and I went over this on Thursday at the corporate overview here in Phoenix, and I just, for me, this resonates with me so well in how I try to run my business. And I actually the real script is really designed to when you're actually in the appointment. But I've really tried to take a lot of this real script into even booking the appointment, right? Where I'm spending some time trying to build some rapport, right? When I'm booking the appointment, right? I'm trying to build a relationship and build a friendship and spend some time with, people when I'm booking that appointment, right? So when I'm dialing. And so again, rapport, we're trying to set the stage of what we're trying to do. We're trying to care about people, and it needs to be genuine, right? And so I think the struggle for me trying to be, when I try to be transparent to agents or to anybody, that in Symmetry is that I didn't come in that way. I really, honestly, I came in with this attitude that I was just going to, write a bunch of business, make a bunch of money. And it really, I was looking at percentages and numbers and things like that and not people. And it's not that I don't care about people, but sometimes we just get, caught up in the busyness of business. And so I really had to make some adjustments at the beginning, and it probably took me, really 6+ weeks to really kind of overcome some of this. And it really starts here. It really starts with rapport and caring about people. When we're starting off with some small talk, and again, I do this when I'm booking the appointment. So you can take all of the information that I'm going to give you today, and you can actually use a lot of that when you're actually booking the appointment. So rapport, setting the stage, small talk, asking them how I look for things like if I hear a dog in the background, barking, oh, what kind of dog do you have, right? I'm not just so focused on just them being a dial session, right, where I'm trying to book an appointment. I'm slowing down, taking my time. And sometimes I get it, you can't do that because they're driving or they're in a place where that doesn't work. But if they are, right, it's really important to try to build the rapport at the beginning, right? So small talk, hear a dog in the background, hear a kid in the background, right? I said on Thursday, at another thing, I will even take a look at where their phone number is and look up that area code to find out where they're originally from. If I'm calling a state, that I know that is not the area code in that state, right? Just for rapport's sake, right? Just so that I can say, oh, you're from Miami, and now you live in Washington. Wow, that's a big change, right? And then I'm going to also, as I'm building that report, it says here on our list, it says prime the mind on why people get mortgage protection. I'm going to start talking to them pre-appointment while I'm booking the appointment, right? About why I'm calling, what was their hope in when they got the mortgage protection card or the letter, why people put that in place. And then I am going to explain a little bit, I don't go into it completely, my role and purpose when I'm booking that appointment about what we're going to do when we meet. It's my job, right, to find a solution for your family in the event that anything would happen, something that's going to be a benefit and a blessing to you. And then when I'm in the appointment, same thing, right? We're going to start off with some small talk. I can hopefully go back, right, to the relationship that I built when I booked the appointment. I'm going to ask them how their weekend was with their granddaughter, or how their dog is, or how the weather is, or if I found out, what they did for a living. Hey, how was your week? How was your week? Whatever, right? And then we're going to talk about mortgage protection and go back into our role and purpose, right? Hey, listen, Bill, Sally, I'm here today to help, right? My role and my purpose today is to put something in place for you and your family that's going to be a benefit. God forbid anything would happen, right? We're going to spend some time taking a look at a full mortgage payoff and a partial mortgage payoff and some options. And obviously that changes based on age and health and all that. But you'll carry through that based on what that looks like for the people that you're sitting with. And then emotion, we're going to verify some health stuff. I personally do not complete the financial information form. I think it's a great thing to do. I am more I'm going to ask some very specific questions about can they afford the home? Hey, Bill, if you pass away, does Sally have to move? Where does that leave Sally? Does Sally have to move back into her home? Right. That was all, or to her mother's house. Right. That was always a thing for me. I never wanted my wife, right, to have, if I passed away, because she doesn't work, she can't make the money that I can make. That is she going to have to move back in with her parents or our kids? Right. I never wanted that for her. So we're going to ask some very striking, very emotional questions. Again, verifying health as well. I ask, I'm not really sure what the longevity of your family is, so like for my family, we're 60s and 70s, most of my family pass away, and that age that I've only had one family member live into their 90s. Most everybody's 60 or 70. And so that's another question. Hey, what's the longevity of your family history, that sort of thing. Again, analyze any cash flow problems, does your retirement go away? What does that look like? Right. And these are all emotional questions, right? I know for me and hopefully for most, men and or women, right? If they have a spouse that they're dependent upon the other's income or whatnot, that these become emotional questions, right? Where if we're gone, do we lose the home? We afford it? Do we have to sell the home that we've been in for 40 years? We raised our kids in. Sometimes people don't live in that home because they can't. It's too sad for them. But some people want to. You really want to try to pull some emotion out, with people. And then, the why. Why are we getting right? Why are we word mortgage protection, right? Why are we putting something in? What does that look like for you, right? So we wanted some time. Rapport, emotion is so important. And then assumption. I've heard people say, that they, go into an appointment or, expecting people not to. Why? When I book an appointment, I am expecting that I've done my job and I have enough rapport. There's no way they're going to show up. My friend, right, that I've spent some time is going to show up for an appointment, right? I'm going to assume they'll show up for the appointment. And I'm also going to assume that we're going to put something in place because they need it, because they don't have anything. I've already walked through that process, right? And so this is avoiding to think about it, right? We're assuming the sale, right? We're obviously going to get think about it. When we get think about it, that's a whole nother, topic. But, explaining our program, showing our options and taking the application, right? I'm going to assume, and I'm actually just like, Jeff said, Ashley Tar, I'm going to be shocked if they don't do something, not if they do something, and not if they put something in place, right? Sometimes I think that when someone is like, yeah, I'd like to do that one, we go, oh, okay. And we're shocked at it, right? And then that kind of comes off a little weird, right? So I always assume that I'm going to take, the application and I'm going to put something in place for this family, unless there's a really good reason why. Maybe they're already covered, maybe they don't need me. And I've told families that too. They're very well protected and they just didn't need me. So go into every appointment, right, assuming that they're going to show up, right? Mindset, right? Just get your mind right. And then when you're going through your presentation, just assume using words, assumptive words, that we're going to put something in place, right? That eliminates no's and think about it. And then locking it down, right? Again, we're securing the sale, right? We're setting the next step, as far as expectations go. Hey, this is what's going to happen. You're going to get your policy in the mail. You're going to get it emailed to you depending on the carrier. They're going to FedEx you depending on the carrier, right? Eliminate the competition, complete the client survey. So eliminating the competition for me looks like this. Hey, listen, again, I'm Bryan Howell. Hopefully they know my name by this time. If they don't, haven't really done a good job. Eliminating the competition, right? And letting them know that if anybody else calls them, let them know that they've already been covered. Give them my name and my phone number. They're never going to call you because there are other sales guys. I would never call another sales guy. So, but again, just locking that thing down. And then, resetting, for recruiting and asking that person. I know that Troy's recruited a sale and had conversations that way. Rugrats trying to cover kids, retirement, those types of things. And so we're going to go back to some of those and ask those pointed questions, or get them plugged into DFL if that looks like it could be a good fit, right? And cook next steps and that sort of thing. So we want to lock these guys down and keep, our clients for a lifetime. And that's just kind of our job. So yeah, real script is really, really important. So I hope something there will help you this week, get some more things closed and book some additional appointments.
I love it. That's just so great, right? Because none of us want to sit there and book appointments and show up and not write applications and help families, right?
Yeah.
The whole purpose is for us to help those families. And, if you're going through the real script, and I love how Bryan just pulls out emotion, you're not the salesperson then, right? You're the actual professional trying to help them. You're that field underwriter. For those of you that want to skip this part and try to get to the numbers, that's what a salesperson does, right? They just want to get right to the numbers. This part is so crucial, such a crucial part, especially if you're getting a lot of think about it, really build that rapport, pull out that, that emotion from these clients. So great stuff, man, Bryan. I love it. I love the way you're consistently on the weekly and monthly leaderboards. You just, you just care about your clients and it shows. So it's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, I think, the empathy part and the sympathy part about what we do is so important, right? And it comes out. I mean, if you listen to some people, like Jordan and yourself and Joe, like when we're dialing, right? That's coming out in that dial session, right? Where, I mean, and I honestly, I think that Jordan does even a better job than I do in the sense that, she laughs with people, right? She just does a great job, doing that where, I am a little bit more robotic and in that. So I always enjoy, watching her just because I'd like to laugh a little bit more with people, right? I think, and smile a little bit more with them, right? But yeah, I just think, that emotion and, that sympathy, that empathy for people, if you have got to figure out a way to change your mindset and your heart, when it comes to what we do here. If you don't care, man, it's going to be it's going to be a struggle. You're going to be on the struggle bus for a long time until you figure that out. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Bryan.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, it is 11 a.m. Eastern. It's Monday. So let's have a great week, everybody. Let's help some families, make some money to help our families, right? And let's keep bringing new agents on and recruiting to build their families too. So, all right, guys, have a great week, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.